All right, this is going to be the introductory video for solving rational equations. Usually kids have a hard time understanding the first two steps before we actually get into solving the rational equation. So let's talk about those first two steps. Step one is going to be to factor. There's different ways to factor. We've talked a bunch. GCF, quadratic trinomials, grouping. The two big ones we're going to talk about are GCF and quadratic trinomials. But right now we're only going to touch on GCF. Okay, so we have factor and simplify. We have got to be able to factor and simplify a fraction. We've got to. And that is what we're going to work on to start out with now. So I've got a couple of examples lined up for us. So let's look at example one. Remember, factor first, then simplify. Look at your numerator, factor it. Look at your denominator, factor it, and then we simplify. So 3, can it be factored? No. Can 3v minus 15 be factored? Absolutely. What comes out of 3 and 15? It would be 3. So we're left with 3 on the top because that doesn't change. We said that 3 comes out of the 3v minus 15, so we're left with v minus 5. Okay, if you don't know about factoring, you need to go back and watch previous videos. But again, all we did was found the GCF here and pulled it out. Now, after we pull our 3 out, we have just factored the denominator here. So now we need to simplify. That's step number 2. Step 1, factor. We factored both. 1 doesn't need to be factored, 1 did. Then we simplify. Anything we can cross out here. The 3's. 3 and 3. What's 3 over 3 equal? 1. So it would be 1 over 1. You can change those to 1s. So our final answer here would be 1 over v minus 5. Okay? On to example 2. A little bit easier here. We have 2v over 5v. All right? Can we factor these? No, we cannot. 2v doesn't factor, 5v doesn't factor. Can we, now we need to go into simplifying. Can we simplify 2v over 5v? We can. What goes into both? V. The v's cross out. Goodbye and goodbye. I'm left with 2 over 5. That's simplifying. Shouldn't be that hard. Number 4. This is example 4 right here. Just make a little box so we can make sure we know exactly which one we're dealing with. So, 4 over 6. Is 4 factored? Yes. Is 6 factored? Yes. It's fully factored. Can't do anything with it. So 4 over 6 equals, we simplify that as 2 over 3. 2 over 3. Just simplify. You factor first, then you simplify. Let's go to number 4. Or, I'm sorry, our next example. I think I said that was number 4 too. Okay. We look at first step, factor. We look at our numerator. Can we do anything with it? No, it cannot be factored. Can we look at our denominator and see if we factor? Yes, this is a squared right here, by the way. I know you can't really see. But we have a 9 and 15. Okay, what goes into both 9 and 15? Would be 3. We have an x squared and an x. So what is our greatest common variable there? Would be an x. So we write it out. 4x stays the same. What turns into here? 3 times what gives me 9? 3x times what gives me 9x squared? It would be 3x minus, this would be 5. Again, if you do not know how I got these right here, you need to go back and watch GCF videos. Alright, so we factored the top, we factored the bottom. The top doesn't need to be factored, but you try to look for the opportunity to factor. We looked for the opportunity to factor on top. We didn't need to do it. We did on the bottom, and we completed it. Now we simplify. Well, what does the numerator and denominator have in common? These x's right here. Goodbye, goodbye. If it's inside the parentheses, if it's inside those parentheses, you have to make sure that the parentheses on the bottom matches the parentheses on the top. The numerator matches the one of the denominator. That's the only way they'll cross out. If they're not, then you can't just cross out things inside of it because they're inside. They're its own term. It's one big term. So you have to make sure They're on the outside, so that's why the x is crossed out there, and you're left with 4 on top over 3, 3x minus 5. But that would be the simplified version. Last one here. This is a long video, I'm sorry. We look and we say, okay, can we factor? Top part, can we factor? No. 6m is good the way it is. Cannot be factored. 3m squared plus 21m can be factored. So what's it going to be? What comes out of 3 and 21? 3. M squared and m. M. So what am I left with? I'm left with m plus 7 on the bottom. What am I left with on the top? Still 6m. Nothing's changed there. Alright. Now we factored. So now we need to simplify. The 6 and 3, those can be simplified to 2 over 1. And the m and m can be simplified to 1 over 1. So what are you left with? 2 times 1 gives me 2. 1 times 1 gives me 1. M plus 7. So I'm left with m plus 7 on the bottom. Alright, 1 times 1, I can put a 1 here, but, oops, I'm sorry. I can put a 1 here, but there's no point because if you distribute a 1 to this, you just get the same thing. So that is factoring and simplifying intro for this unit of, I believe it's 4A.